Jason Swain, touchdown.
It's time for the Swain Event with your host, Jason Swain.
My man.
Real sports talk for the real sports fan.
All you chumps are gonna bow when I whoop him.
It's time for the Swain Event, fueled by Dead End Barbecue.
Give it to his mouth and a red flag.
SwainEvent.com, fueled by Dead End Barbecue, top 100 barbecue restaurant in America. What an opportunity today. What an opportunity, man, to have a great show. Have a great day. And we plan on doing that for you today. 865-255-03 is our telephone number. I'm live in the Low T Central Studio, joined by my guy, Ben McKee. Go Vols 247. What is up, my man?
Good morning. How are you?
Man, blessed and highly favored. Blessed and highly favored. Woke up this morning. Bonus day. It's a bonus day today. So we are going to make it a great day. Starting with this show. You get that, Ben? You got that? We're having a good show today.
I'm with it. Let's do it.
All right, cool. Kentucky game.
It's going to be a fun weekend. It's going to be a really fun weekend. I think we've got a great football game on tap on Saturday night. Another fun little rivalry game for Tennessee. Neither fan base likes each other. Neither football program likes each other. Neither state likes each other. It'll be fun on Saturday night. I guess now neither grocery store likes each other.
They're rivals.
But it'll be fun. And then on Sunday, I know it's just an exhibition, but it'd be cool to watch number 9 Tennessee basketball versus number 4 Michigan State. So we've got a nice little weekend on tap for Tennessee fans.
Kentucky's a program that deserves respect from Tennessee fans. The players and coaches obviously respect Kentucky and what they've been able to do, what Mark Stoops has been able to do during his time in Kentucky. I truly believe he has hit his ceiling. If I'm Mark Stoops, I'm looking at it as a way out. I don't know if they're going to do anything more than what they've done in Kentucky. They have one of the best offensive coordinators in the conference. Maybe one of the best in the country. They have went to the portal. They have gotten players that they have been able to see go, in the first round and second round. They have developed players and put them in the NFL on both sides of the football. They've had special team award winners. They have beaten Florida a couple of times. If I'm Stoops, hey, man, this is the ceiling.
Well, let me ask you this. I completely agree with everything you just said. But I think another way to look at it is, man, I have the most comfortable job in America. With the expectations of Kentucky football and the amount of money that he's making, like I think it's one of the most comfortable positions in college football. You field a team that's competitive every year and then try and go win 9 or 10 games every 3 or 4, man, it's hard to find a better situation than that one.
I think it was a cush job. Everything was good before NIL. When Stoops knew that he wasn't going to have the same advantage as everyone else, when he knew it was lopsided, bigger programs being able to go out and recruit at a level that he was never going to get to. But the moment NIL became a thing, and it evened the playing field more, and it really challenged the ambition of the administration of schools and the support amongst the fan base, donors, and boosters. I think since NIL, Stoops has seen that all that talk about supporting football, and yeah, we put some money into the stadium, and yeah, we've done this and we've done that to make it a little bit easier for you and better. There's still a hesitation to go the extra mile to give Stoops what he needs to be successful, to compete more at a high level. That radio show he did after the Georgia game
tells you all you need to know.
All you need to know. And the body language, the posture tells you all you need to know. My man Stoops was leaning back in his chair like, hey, man, we can't compete with that. We need some help. We got other schools out here recruiting. Like, you go look at the top 100, top 25, or top 50 in high school rankings. Man, you got some Missouris in there. It's spread out. It is spread out. And that's harder, I think, for a guy like Stoops when you have other people around you. You got state laws. You got boosters and donors more active and trying to help.
John Calipari running his mouth,
well,
begging for more money as well.
Yeah, he hasn't been necessarily helpful. So, like, I just personally think he has hit his ceiling. I got a lot of respect for what he has done there. At Kentucky, I know there's been some back and forth between the staffs, directly, indirectly, publicly, behind the scenes. There's history between Tennessee and Vince Morrow, their assistant head coach, associate head coach. Tennessee is a better football team, guys. The way Tennessee played in the second half, I think it is fair to be concerned if Tennessee is going to be able to go on the road and win. I think it's fair to think that, question that. But Tennessee is not playing Alabama this week. Now, when you play Alabama, physically they beat you up, and you got to make sure Alabama doesn't beat you twice. But, like, Tennessee ain't going up against Kool-Aid McKinstry. Tennessee ain't going up against Jalen Monroe. Like, those same players are not going to be on Kentucky's sideline at all. But there's a challenge that's almost the same as Alabama, Florida, Georgia, South Carolina. That is, you're going on the road. It's going to be a semi-hostile environment. I remember 2021. It was pretty loud. It was all right. It was no South Carolina. It was no Georgia. But it
gets louder than people realize. It's what you just said. It's not that tier one group. I do think it's kind of close to South Carolina. I think it gets pretty loud there. I would say, and I remember sharing this on the show back when I was going to games as a student in college. Went to Florida on the road, went to Alabama on the road, went to Georgia on the road, went to Vanderbilt, which was essentially a home game, but still.
Yeah, I know why you
I went to several road venues in the SEC. No fans were as nasty on the walk to the stadium as Kentucky fans. None of them. Kentucky fans are absolutely the nastiest, in my opinion, in the SEC. They're at least they're right up there with Bama fans.
You mean like the way they smell, or like what they say, or
the things they were saying, the things that they were saying that they were
okay.
that They were mean, quite frankly. So it's gonna, again, I'm not at all trying to make it seem like it's Death Valley or Neyland Stadium or Bryant Denny. Not at all trying to say that, but it's going to be a hostile environment on Saturday night, and it's going to be loud. This is their 6th straight night game that they are playing. The two teams are since 2013 when the game is played in Lexington. Since Butch's trip to Kentucky in 2013, it's only been night games in Lexington, and the last 3, or definitely the last 2. 2019 when Daniel Batuli had to stop at the goal line, and then 21 when Tennessee had to come up with a defensive stand there to win it as well. It got very loud in the second half. It absolutely did. So that is to me, that's a huge question mark, like you said, Swain, going into this one, just because, yes, again, it is not at all Ben Hill Griffin Stadium or Bryant Denny Stadium, but in the two SEC road games this season, Tennessee has had a half of football in which it took its foot off the gas and did not play with an edge, on top of just the general road struggles. So I think it's a huge concern, even when going to a place like Kentucky or Missouri coming up, when you haven't been able to handle your business on the road.
Yeah, that is a valid point. That's the concern. Even though the level of volume will not be the same, it's still going to be loud. And there is a difference, despite what was said by CBS analysts, that, loud is not just loud. There's loud, and then there's louder, and there's loudest. I mean, there's a difference between 80,000 and 50,000 and 100,000. There's a difference. It may not be a difference in the booth, but it is a difference on the football field as a player. And no offense to Gary Danielson, but when he played as a player, the stadiums didn't look the way they look now, and crowds were not as active as they are now as far as crowd noise. And so that is something Tennessee has to bounce back from. It is not letting things snowball. It's being able to answer after the other team makes a play, not letting the team go on runs. Like, basketball season started in the NBA. College basketball is here. The teams that are able to stop the opposing team from going on long runs, those will be the teams that will cut down nets at the end of the season. You can't let teams go on 20-0 runs, 18-0 runs, and 12-0 runs. All right, you're going to get a little 4-point run, a little 6-point run, but we're going to answer. Tennessee has to do a better job of answering. Other teams are going to make plays. Other teams practice. Other teams have good players. Other teams have good coaching staffs. When they make a play, we got to answer. We got to answer. And leadership, toughness, mental toughness, you got to have all these things on the road to be able to answer when the opposing team makes a play. Now, Kentucky may be already in basketball mode. You know how Kentucky be around this time of the year when things are not going right and they just give up on football. They may be in basketball mode. We'll see about the attendance, but I anticipate with them having these night games for Tennessee that they're going to be ready to go. What does not make sense to me is look around the league, definitely this year. Home teams win, man. Home teams be winning out here. And they look totally different than they do on the road. Like A&M look totally different at home than on the road. Tennessee, teams out here look totally different at home. What the hell is Kentucky doing October 14th? That does not make sense to me. To play a night game at 7:30 on SEC Network, like the primetime game on SEC Network, and to come out the way they did and lose to Missouri 38-21 does not make sense to me.
It's like they were stung on that fake punt that Drinkwitz called, and I believe Missouri scored on it, correct? The fake punt pass, if I remember correctly. It's like from that moment on, they were just shook because they came out and threw a haymaker at Missouri, and it looked like, I think they got up 14-0 and it looked like they were going to run away with it. And then Missouri pulled off that special teams play, and it was just like they were shook the rest of the night.
Yeah, it was 14. It was 14. It was 14-0 Kentucky. It was 14-0 Kentucky. Kentucky scored 2 touchdowns in the first quarter. Mizzou came back the second quarter, made it 14-7. And then Mizzou kicked the field goal, made it 14-10. And then Mizzou came back with a touchdown, made it 17-14 before the half. Like that is even more puzzling to me, Ben, to come out, you jump on the opponent 14-0, and then you go into halftime with the, facing a deficit, and then you come back out, and Missouri continues to pile on the lead, and going into the fourth quarter, Missouri is down 1, and then the fourth quarter, you just get dominated. You don't score a point in the fourth quarter, and Missouri is able to go score 18 in the fourth quarter. Like that is what's surprising to me, playing at home this year with the home field advantage being as strong as it's been so far in the SEC. That's what's puzzling. But the moral of the story here should be anything can happen, and we've seen teams play out of character. We've seen situations where a team is just got it going that day, or the opposite, they just don't have it going that day. Florida looked like world beaters against us, looked like they forgot how to play football against Kentucky. It happens.
It's pretty funny, the cycle that Kentucky, Florida, and Tennessee is on. I was going to say love triangle, but we need a different word than love. It's like Florida owns Tennessee, but Kentucky owns Florida, and then Tennessee owns Kentucky. It's pretty funny how each of those three, they each own one, and they're each owned by somebody else as well. It's been pretty funny. And I say that Kentucky has owned Florida within the last 5 to 6 years under Mark Stoops. Obviously, traditionally, Kentucky does not own Florida, but Mark Stoops has been able to pick up some big wins over Florida the last couple of years and take advantage of Florida not being what Florida typically is, unlike Tennessee.
I like the thought of a school owning us. I don't care if it's true or false, man. I just got sad. I'm taking it.
Yeah, it's not ideal, but hey, at least Tennessee owns Kentucky, right? We're reviewing the positives on this Thursday, Swain. The positives.
Nothing about what you just said made me feel positive.
I know.
Was positive. 865-255-03. The Beatty Chevrolet text box, BeattyChevrolet.com. Beatty Chevrolet on Parkside Drive. New and pre-owned SUVs, trucks starting as low as $19,995. That's BeattyChevrolet.com. We'll take our first time out of the day, and we'll be back after this.
You're listening to the Swain Event.
You don't say.
Fueled by Dead End Barbecue.
When you are craving some quality barbecue, there's only one place to go. Dead End Barbecue. Dead End Barbecue has been featured on ESPN's Taste of the Town, the first barbecue restaurant on the SEC Network, CBS Sports, Headline News Tailgate Show, Amazon Prime's The Restaurant Comeback, Food Paradise, and named one of the top 100 barbecue restaurants in America. The search is over. Dead End Barbecue is located on 3621 Sutherland Avenue right here in Knoxville. You can even have it delivered right to your door through Chow Now. Visit their website at deadendbbq.com. Dead End Barbecue. The search is over. Hey, Knoxville, we all know the importance of mental health. Most people don't have regular mental health care. They often wait. Let's change that. Isn't it time we all consider our mental health as important as our physical health? If you are ready, Mind Body Wellness in Knoxville can help you design a plan for your mental wellness. We are accessible, affordable, and available. You are worth it. Visit mindbodyknoxville.com to schedule a mental wellness assessment today.
Hey, Vol Nation. This is Charlie Pratt, financial representative with Modern Woodman and MWA Financial Services. Modern Woodman has been touching lives and securing futures for 140 years. Being born and raised here in East Tennessee, I'm honored to help East Tennesseans in all phases of life with retirement planning, investments, and life insurance. A big win on Saturday starts with preparation early in the week. A secure financial future starts with planning today. Contact my office today at 865-919-6468 to review your financial plan and make sure you are on track for success. As always, go Vols.
Registered representative and investment advisor, representative offering securities and advisory services through NWA Financial Services, Inc., a wholly owned subsidiary of Modern Woodman of America, member of FINCRA, SIPC.
Good morning, Swain Event family. Take a deep breath in and release. We're all back together in the AM and life is good. If you have real estate needs, just give me a call, Jennifer Morris, at 865-257-7897 or email me at jennifermorris865@gmail.com. And go Vols.
Just because you can't call in doesn't mean that you have to sit on the sideline. Impact the show with a text box. It's part of the free Swain Event app.
Swain Event, fueled by Dead End Barbecue, top 100 barbecue restaurant in America. Ben McKee, Go Vols 247. I'm Jason Swain, live from the Low T Center Studio. How much stock do we put in to Kentucky in the last 8 meetings, holding 6 of their opponents to 100 yards or less? How much stock are we putting into that stat, knowing, Ben, that Kentucky, not necessarily known for playing the toughest of schedules to start the season? Now, this stat does date back to 2022, but how much stock are we putting into Kentucky's run defense?
Yeah, it's something that I'm paying attention to. It's not something that I'm shaking in my boots if I'm Tennessee, because I do think exactly what you said. You have to factor in the level of competition that Kentucky has played for the most part. And I give Mark Stoops a lot of credit for elevating Kentucky's football program. And 2 10-win seasons, I believe, in the last 4. That is exceptional for Kentucky football. There's no way around that. But it has been built on the back of them playing a sorry non-conference schedule. And part of that is not their fault, because they can't control that. Louisville has been terrible the last couple of years, right? That is a rivalry game that they play each and every year, and has not been a tough one the last couple of years. Now, this year's Kentucky-Louisville game looks like it's going to be a doozy. Looks like it's going to be a really fun one. But I do think you have to have that thought in the back of your head that, generally speaking, a lot of their, or at least a portion of their success has been built on the back of a soft schedule. And that's kind of what you have to do at Kentucky. I don't blame them for the opponents that they schedule at the beginning of the year. I'd be doing the same thing to try to rack up the wins at Kentucky if I was the head coach there. But I will say, on the flip side, their defense has some dudes. Their defense always has some dudes. It always has under Stoops, and it always will. And this particular defense, it looked awful against Georgia. There's no bones about that. And it was kind of rattled there by Missouri at the end of that football game, like we just talked about, Swain. But don't get fooled by those 2 performances. They still have several guys on their defense that will play in the NFL one day.
865-255-03. Tennessee's offense, Kentucky's offense. I mean, you can look at both of them, and they have a lot of similarities, man. Just unable to find that balance offensively. Between the run and pass, sometimes one-dimensional. Devin Leary has had his ups and downs. Joe Milton had his ups and downs. Joe Milton is coming off his best game as a Tennessee Volunteer, Devin Leary's coming off a bye week, where if Kentucky, you hope that he's fixed his inaccuracies and his timing issues with his receivers. His receivers are having issues catching the ball. So I mean, it's weird. Like their offense is one dimensional. They run the football well, but Tennessee's, although maybe one dimensional, runs the ball better and does a better job of creating more havoc on defense. So just something to really think about. But I just Tennessee's a better football team in this game. Is there a matchup, a stat that stands out to you when you're looking at this game?
Yeah, Tennessee playing on the road. I think Tennessee's biggest competition is itself this weekend. We talked about the road stats earlier this week. That is my biggest pause for concern with Tennessee going into this football game. I do think Tennessee is a better football team. I do think the way Kentucky plays into Tennessee's style of play and what Tennessee does well. But again, in the 2 road games this season, we have not seen Tennessee handle everything that comes with that well for at least one entire half. And that to me gives me a lot of pause for concern. And Kentucky is absolutely good enough to where if you turn in a first half at Florida or a second half at Alabama, Kentucky will absolutely beat you on Saturday night. So honestly, that's my biggest concern with Tennessee going into this football game is itself and how it's handled road environments the last year or so. And now X's and O's wise, I do look at their ability to run the football with Ray Davis. He is a legitimate back. He is one of the best backs in the country. And he is also going to play in the NFL and probably for quite some time. He is very, very talented. And I liked, I believe it was Brian Jean-Marie's quote earlier this week. Like we knew he was good at Vanderbilt is what Brian Jean-Marie said. And that is translated to Kentucky times 10 because he has better players around him as well. So I think Tennessee is good against the run, but it just goes back to that half of football at Florida and Alabama that just gives me a little bit of pause when breaking down the matchups, because Florida should not have run the ball on Tennessee the way that it did. And I don't think Alabama should have run the ball in the second half on Tennessee the way that it did. Alabama has struggled to run the football consistently, and it found a way to do so in the second half against Tennessee. So that's something I'm circling for Tennessee's defense. Offensively, I'm a little bit worried about the front seven going up against Tennessee's offensive line. Obviously, Cooper is back, and I think Spraggins is playing well. He played well against Alabama. The interior of the line held up better against Alabama than the tackles did. But that Gerald Mincey situation that is currently ongoing, and it's a health situation, just him dealing with a knee injury and trying to manage the pain. I think when he's in there, it just completely changes the outlook of the offensive line. Not as important as Cooper Mays, but in a similar way. I just think you can tell a drastic difference in when Gerald Mincey's in there and when he's not in there. And they need Gerald Mincey in this football game because Kentucky is good up front defensively. Like I said, they're going to have several guys up front in their front seven that are going to play in the NFL.
Rodney and Austell on the Beatty Chevrolet text box. Have we started running Joe more due to Nico getting closer to be ready if needed? The first half is the first time this offense looked like last year's offense. Joe was running his best he can. The worst option pitch in the history of option football. Yeah, he had one pitch that it wasn't pretty, but got the job done, I guess. You got the ball there. You didn't turn the ball over. I don't think at any point last year we ran Hendon like we ran Joe in the last 2 games. Like, Hendon did a really good job of improvising and using his legs and getting down the football field, but I feel like there's been more called runs in the last 2 games for Joe than any point last year, and that's what I was waiting on. When we were talking about this offense this season, we mentioned the fact that Joe's going to have to be a part of the running game. He's going to have to be involved. And this offense looks a whole lot better when he is, especially when he is finishing runs and delivering shots like he did against A&M and against Alabama. Now, are you doing it because Nico being closer to being ready? I don't think that's the main reason. I think the main reason is because it makes you a better offense. I also think that as the season goes along and Nico's had more reps in practice, you feel more comfortable with saying, hey, man, we can't put Joe in bubble wrap and play football. Like, we have matchups that favor us when Joe is running the ball. We have extra blockers. We have a guy that is big and as fast as Joe is. We got to use him. And if the unthinkable happens and Joe gets hurt, then that's part of football, and we got to make sure the next guy is prepared. Nico is a fine talent. One of the best quarterback prospects that has come out in a very long time. On3 had him as the #1 player in the country. I've wanted to see Nico more this season. I want to see him more in the first game of the season. But I understand now I want to put him behind a second-team offensive line that even the first-team offensive line scared you a little bit then. I was not thrilled about not seeing Nico at all versus Austin Peay. Not thrilled. But you put the blame and responsibility on everybody because you're supposed to take care of business in that game to allow your second-string guys to play more. But as much as I want to see Nico, that doesn't mean I'm going to come up with all these silly theories and create narratives. It's funny. There's comments that are made like, "Oh man, you could tell he doesn't trust Joe," and I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And people are referencing like running the ball 3 straight times versus Alabama. I'm like, most coaches in that situation understand that drive is pretty much over. Get the ball on the 4-yard line, you're on the road, man, you're not trying to turn the ball over. You saw what happened against Florida when we did not play conservative and tried to take a deep shot, being a little bit backed up. Wasn't as backed up as it was against Alabama. And we gave them the ball right there inside the 10, 15-yard line in Florida. And so your defense is playing well. You run the ball 3 straight times, and you go punt it. Joe took a step against Alabama, needs to continue to take a step. Receivers took a step against Alabama, need to continue to take a step.
They did?
Yeah, they took a step against Alabama. Versus
a baby step?
Versus any other game they did. I mean, we had Squirrel, who made a really good play. Ramel Keaton had 2 catches where he made guys miss after the catch. I mean, he had a drop, but I mean, A&M was atrocious. I mean, that was a step, baby step or whatever you want to call it. Still was a step. But like, my point is, we don't have to create narratives and start rumors that don't even make any sense regarding Nico because we want to see Nico. Like, all right, we all want to see Nico, but it ain't his turn yet. He ain't ready yet. Joe gives us the best chance to win. All right, let me go back to the text box. Oh, here we go. Got some stuff for you, Ben, this morning. Ben, do you think Christian Moore can play enough defense to play shortstop?
Yes, I do. He has looked comfortable at that position all fall long so far. Just in the exhibition on Sunday against Virginia Tech alone, he made two really, really nice plays at shortstop that are not easy to make. He has plenty of athleticism, arm strength. He just needs to prove that he can do it consistently and stay locked in mentally consistently. If he does that, he'll be perfectly fine at shortstop.
Okay, let's see what else is on the text box. Speak on the recruitment of offensive line and how many you think we need in this upcoming class. When you look at Tennessee's recruiting class on GoVols 247, you have some guys, different positions. You got some tackles with some length, with some size. You got some guards being in this class that can develop or let's say fill out to be physically able to compete in this conference. The question is when. But right now you got 5 guys on the offensive line committed. Bennett Warren, Max Johnson, Satter White, Jesse Perry, and Gage Ginther. But I go back to the question, Ben, how many do you think we need in this upcoming class?
I think 5 is fine, but if you can add a guy like Jordan Seaton, that'd be awesome too. and that's stating the obvious as well. If you can add a 6th, and that 6th is a big time prospect, then absolutely take 6. I don't know if I would take a developmental prospect as a 6th lineman in this class, but I think they're in a good spot, really good spot numbers wise with the 5 that they have. But again, if the perfect one wants to come, then you absolutely take him and take 6 offensive linemen. So I like this current offensive line class. I know there's been some scuttlebutt about Tennessee's offensive line class. I don't get it. I really don't. I mean, Bennett Warren, top 100 player, 4-star from Texas, true offensive tackle, picked you over Michigan and Texas A&M. Gage Ginther, I think, is the offensive lineman in the 5 that people aren't talking about enough. I really, really like the way that he plays. He reminds me of Javonte Spraggins, just always playing with that mean streak. He's the one from Colorado that Dion has been doing everything in his power to try and get to flip. And so far, Gage has remained very, very, very solid. In fact, I believe there were some comments publicly where he shut down his recruitment. So I really like Gage Ginther. Some people think he's an interior offensive lineman. Tennessee is recruiting him to play right tackle. So maybe not a left tackle, but he has some versatility to where he can either be a guard or maybe kick out and play right tackle one day. I really like Gage Ginther, even if he's a 3-star and ranked in the 500s. I don't think that ranking will end up being accurate. William Satterwhite, another interior offensive lineman from Ohio, 4-star, top 200 player. He picked Tennessee over Clemson. That's a pretty big recruiting win. And then Max Anderson, a 4-star from Texas who is just outside the top 200. He picks you over Oklahoma, and his brother plays for Oklahoma. So I really, really like this Tennessee recruiting class up front offensively. Jesse Perry, he was in town the night before the Texas A&M game with Middle Tennessee Christian. They were playing out at the Kings Academy, which is out here in my neck of the woods. So I went over and watched him play, and not the greatest competition to watch somebody play against. The Kings Academy they were 0-7 at the time, and I think that was their last game. If they played another game, I'm sure they lost that one too. But you can see the athleticism, 6'6", 275. He moves really, really well. Probably more of a developmental guy, but he has some athleticism as well. So, Swain, I really, really like this offensive line class and where it's at, especially if they can go out and land Jordan Seaton.
Ben, this is no slight to you, my friend. I think you did a good job of laying out how we got these players committed and who we beat to get them committed, to have them committed. Gage Ginther holding down his commitment after other people like Colorado trying to recruit him. You mentioned Max Johnson and some of the emotional ties that may have been in place in Oklahoma. But here's the thing, Ben. People don't give a damn about that. People don't care.
What they're asking about it, they do.
I know. The question was, how many you think we need in this upcoming class? That was the question. How many you think we need in this upcoming class? I'm pretty sure that question was asked because at the end of the day, what we are looking for are results. Are these dudes good enough? Who gives a damn how they got to Tennessee? Who Tennessee beat out to get them? Who cares about the feel-good story? People want to know, and this is unfair to this class. It's unfair to this class, what I'm about to say. There's pressure on this class, Ben McKee, because the last two classes, there's not one offensive line right now playing. So there's more pressure on this class, the 2014 class. It's more pressure on them to come in and be ready quicker than guys that were part of last year's class, in the year before class. Because we got dudes that's been in the program 2 years, still ain't on the field yet. What happens if Cooper Mays goes to the league? Where's the center? What if Cooper Mays stays? Where's the backup center option? So people want to know about this class and feel good about this class because this offensive line class cannot be like last year's offensive line class and definitely not like the offensive line class from 2 years ago. So, did you give us good information? Hell yeah, you gave us good information. But folks want to know the bottom line, Ben. Like, are these dudes going to play before their junior year? Or, like,
they should. If not, then there's already a. I mean, there's two separate conversations right now. There's one conversation that I was speaking to when I was giving my answer that Glenn Ellerby is not recruiting well right now. That is a topic of conversation amongst fans, and that was what I was speaking to, because I don't look at this offensive line class that he currently has and say, oh, he can't recruit. He's beating out some big time programs for highly ranked offensive linemen. That's what I was speaking to. But then there's also the conversation that you just brought up about why are there not more ready offensive linemen that this staff has recruited? Why do they not appear to be ready to play more than they are? Because you've done a good job of developing Spraggins and Cooper Mays throughout their career. Ollie Lane, he is what he is, but he's also gotten better over the course of this staff being here. John Campbell's been able to come in and contribute. I think Gerald Mincy has gotten better since he got to Tennessee. So, like, there is a sense of development there. But then the guys that they have identified on the recruiting trail the last 2 years, none of those guys really look anywhere near ready to play. And maybe they are, and they're just being timid in their comments. But, like, I don't feel comfortable that Sham Umarov can take over a spot next season, or Larry Johnson III, the JUCO offensive lineman they went out and got from Hutchinson, or Aiden Bussell, or Vyson Lang. That was last year's recruiting class. And then even going back a year further, and these guys really should be close to playing. Addison Nichols, Mo Clipper, Brian Grant, Messiah Reddick, Savion Herring, which Savion Herring's no longer here. But like those guys don't appear anywhere ready to play. And that is an absolute huge concern, Swain. It absolutely is. Now, I will throw in, I believe that the last two offensive line classes, the offensive linemen that they brought in my opinion, aren't as close to being ready to play and are much more developmental prospects than the prospects that are coming in this year. I don't think that the current crop of linemen are as much of a developmental prospect as the two that have come in the previous 2 years. And offensive line is a position where it takes some time to develop to get onto the football field.
I understand that.
And we're reaching that point of them needing to be there. There's no doubt about that. But I do think this year's class is different than the past two.
No, I understand that. And I make this last point. We'll go to break. You want to see Nico more this year? That second team is why you haven't seen Nico more this year. And the drop-off shouldn't be that much. So
no, it shouldn't. And Tennessee's going to have, speaking to your point as well,
yeah, just go
Tennessee's going to have to live in the portal this offseason.
Just go fix it. Yeah, just go fix it. Just go fix it. Assistant coaches, you got to recruit. If you don't, it puts more pressure on the portal and NIL. But you just got to go fix it. You don't have a choice because you can't do anything without a solid offensive line. 865-255-03. Be right back.
You're listening to the Swain Event.
And you know this, man.
Here in Knoxville, we love it when a squirrel's in the checkerboards. But when there's a squirrel in our attic, that's offsides. When that happens, call Alpha Wildlife. They're Knoxville's veteran-owned and operated wildlife removal company. When unwanted critters put their feet up on your coffee table, call 865-224-6555. Let the Tennessee fans at Alpha Wildlife evict those unwanted tenants and set your home up with a winning defense to keep that wildlife where it belongs. That's Alpha Wildlife at 865-224-6555. They have locations in Nashville, Memphis, Chattanooga, and in parts of South Carolina. Check them out online at alphawildlife.com.
What's up, fellas? It's Swain. When it comes to health, there are numbers every man needs to know, including your testosterone number. I recommend going to Low T Center. They make it quick and easy to get your levels checked, and it's only $25. You walk in, take a simple blood test, and with their on-site lab, you'll know your results in 25 minutes. Low testosterone levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, can cause lack of motivation and drive. It can raise your cholesterol, cause weight gain, and loss of muscle mass. Go to lowtcenter.com now to book your appointment. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare. Dead End Barbecue has you covered when you need the food to be on point for your next event. Go to deadendbbq.com to learn more or call 865-414-9417. Dead End Barbecue, the catering search is over.
Hey there, Swain Event crew. Just like fall sports, the Knoxville area real estate market is strong and growing stronger. We're an everything region. When you get the big orange itch to buy, sell, or invest, call me, Jennifer Morris with Keller Williams Realty at 865-257-7897 or email me at jennifermorris865@gmail.com. Go Vols!
Looking for a different way to enjoy the show?
Yes.
Then check out Swain Event TV on YouTube.
Eight 255-03. Swain Event Hotline. We'll go back to the Beatty Chevrolet text box. But first, let's go to the hotline. Good morning. Who do we have with us?
Good morning, gentlemen. It's Rusty.
What's up, Rusty? Getting up early for us.
I know, right?
We appreciate you. Hope you're doing well.
Yeah, man.
What's on your mind?
Oh, we're all good. Is this the game where we get the Joe Milton that seems to have figured it out last week, and the running game clicks, and the offense hits on all cylinders? Is this the moment where it all finally comes together? Because we haven't got everything going at once as of yet.
This should be the game, Rusty. I mean, when you look at the first half against Alabama, a top 5, top 10 team in the country, everything was clicking for you in the first half. You're playing against a team that does not have anywhere close to the talent Alabama has and the coaching staff that Alabama has. And so if you play the way you play versus Alabama, then you should have way more success, and it should look like you are clicking more offensively. Now you just gotta. You can't have lulls, man. You can't have quarter lulls. You have to stay away from that. But I
quarter
think,
was rough.
but I do think with how Joe has run the football in the last 2 games, how he threw the ball in the last game, Squirrel White, how in every big game we have played, he has brought his best game, his focus, his toughness. Like, he's brought it with him. I think this has the makings, Rusty, of this Tennessee offense looking better after playing against 2 defenses, quite frankly, that's been just more talented than the team we're playing against this weekend.
Yeah. I mean, that I think is absolutely the truth. That the talent's going to be a different level. Even when we were clicking in the first half, the running game with the running backs wasn't having much space. I was more wondering, can we have a game where Jalen Wright gets off and Joe Milton plays well? But I'll table that. The third quarter was really bothersome because Alabama still hadn't really stopped Joe on a designed run as of yet, and he carried the ball only one time in the third quarter, and it was a gain of 16 yards. I assume Coach Heupel and the staff doesn't want to run their quarterback in the ground on designed runs.
I mean,
but it seems like it's really going to work in this offense if we do it.
We've been running them, Rusty. We've been running Joe.
Yeah, I felt like maybe we only had 9 plays in the third quarter on offense. I know that, but 7 of them were handoffs. One of them was a design run for Joe, and one of them was a pass. Felt like maybe 4 of those should have been Joe runs in the third quarter, and chains would have kept moving, and we would have had more than 9 plays. I just hope that if running the ball with Joe is working, I hope we keep doing it.
Rusty, looking at the official stat book, Joe had 15 runs.
Yeah, he did. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And Jalen Wright had 11.
Yes, 100%. I'm just talking about the third quarter strictly. I was just talking about the third quarter strictly. Yeah. Just in the third, we handed it off 7 and called Joe's number once. That quarter to me felt like where the game got away and where we got away from Joe a little bit. The first half we ran him a ton, and even I think he had like 90 yards on called run plays. Now sack yardage brought his numbers way down.
Mm-hmm.
All that was great. I feel like in the third quarter we got a little bit away from letting him keep the ball, and I know it was field position and there was an avalanche of stuff like that. Just going forward, I hope the coaching staff continues to stay with that if it's rolling and working, and I think it led to a lull.
Joe had four carries in the first quarter for 23 yards. And then Joe in the second quarter had 4 carries for 21. So there's 8. You're 15. Your third quarter that you are referencing here, he only carried the ball for two carries for 16 yards.
One of them was a sack, though.
Yeah.
One of those carries was a 3-yard sack.
Yeah. So there's a flow that I think we have to mention. I mean, Alabama has some momentum, and I don't think your point is wrong. I actually agree with you. Like, go back to do what worked in the first half. That's low risk, because usually when like a team responds and the crowd's into it, you automatically say, let's go throw the football, and then the tackle gets beat because he's slow off the ball because of noise and he doesn't hear stuff, and then it results into a turnover. But the one thing you can do to answer after a big play is go run the football. Go pick up first downs by running the ball, and our best run was with Joe. So, like, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, it felt like Bama had set up the defense to say, we're focusing all of our defensive energy to take your running backs out of the ball game. But if you're willing to sneak your quarterback out the back door, so be it. And we didn't take advantage of that in the third quarter. Last question is, I guess this is probably a Ben question. I don't know. It's my understanding that basically everybody on offense except Jacob Warren, and I'm not saying anybody will actually use it. There may be money in front of them. There may be drafts in front of them. But it's my understanding that everybody but Jacob Warren still has a COVID year if they want it. Maybe not Ollie Lane. Ollie Lane and Warren might be the two that don't have a COVID year, but everybody else still does.
Done.
If we can raise enough money instead of going into the portal and spending that money to keep guys on campus that are already there for another year.
We need to do both.
Is that accurate?
We got to do both, Rusty.
Yeah, but that is everybody able to stay except those two?
Off the top of my head, I believe that is correct.
Okay.
Give
and give often, people. Give and give often.
Is this Ramel Keenan's COVID year?
I think Ramel's done.
I think Ramel's done too. I was thinking about guys that block. I'm sorry.
Yeah, offensive line wise, and even tight ends, you're going to lose McCollum Castles and Jacob Bourne. They are out of eligibility.
Castles has COVID though, right? Castles has COVID too, I think. Castles is it? My Castles.
No, this is Castles' last, I believe. I believe this is his COVID year.
Okay.
Maybe I'm wrong on that. I'll double check when I get done speaking here in a second. But up front, along the offensive line, Mincy, Spraggins, Cooper, Campbell, they all have a COVID year, if I'm not mistaken. And it will be interesting if those guys decide to return. Then I think that would hurt your ability to go out and get some transfer offensive linemen, because I don't know that a transfer offensive lineman. Obviously, Ollie Lane is moving on, and I would not be intimidated by Andre Carrick if I was an interior guy in the portal. So maybe you can add in an interior guy. But if Mincy and Campbell are back, I don't know that I'd feel great about coming to Tennessee and playing right away if I was a transfer tackle. So Tennessee's going to have some tough conversations with some guys and really evaluate who they want back.
I would rather have the guys that are already there that know the offense than going into the portal. Though the portal hasn't been around the country. The portal hasn't really yielded a lot of great help at offensive line. If you go look at all the transfers that have went to different places, like Kentucky thought they were going to be a new team offensive line wise because they went out in the portal and got like 6 guys, and they're just the same offensive line they were the year before. I think we got some. If you told me we got Mincy, Campbell, and Spraggins and Coop back next year, I feel a whole lot better than whatever we can do in the portal.
I mean, we got 2 guys, Rusty, on the offensive line that are playing from the portal.
Yes, absolutely. Our left tackle, and why can I never remember our left tackle's name? Is that Campbell?
John Campbell Jr.
Yeah.
Who was the backup at right tackle to Mincy that Crawford? Thank you, God Almighty, Crawford, Rusty. Yeah, Crawford and Campbell, I always forget. I get those two mixed up. Both of those guys are portal guys, right? No, Mincy's the portal guy, but
Crawford
Campbell
was JUCO.
I think Campbell is having the most success of anybody in the country as far as coming out of the portal on the offensive line. And then there's like one other guy out west somewhere that's actually grading out well. This is all, of course, PFF grades. Offensive linemen in the portal that are doing well, and we have one of them. But, yeah, I'm with you. Get a couple guys. Get a couple interior guys would be great. But if we can, let's keep the ones we have that have more eligibility. So give and give often, people, if you're listening.
Hey, thank you, Rusty. Appreciate the phone call. Yeah, you got to do both, man. You got to get into that portal. You got to keep the guys on your football team that you feel like are going to be contributors for you, and guys you can count on. Like if you're a knucklehead, don't expect to get a bag. That plays into your earning potential. So if you feel like you can go somewhere else, then you might have to do that. But I think guys that have proven that they can be trusted on and off the football field and they bring value, then you got to take care of those guys 100%. But you still got to go to the portal. You still got to go to the high school ranks and get players you feel like can help your football team improve. Period. Point blank. No, this is not Joe's COVID year. Joe Milton's done. Bo from Riceville says Alabama's over, beat the crap out of Kentucky. Yeah, I mean, I think Rusty was referencing what happened in the Alabama game, trying to point to us doing what we did in the Alabama game in the first half for a recipe for success. So that typically happens, you know, when you're looking at the game ahead, you look at the game before to use certain examples to see how we will be able to play. So like when we play Alabama, we were using things from the A&M game to say, all right, well, this is why I feel like we can win. Maybe this is a concern. I feel like that's all Rusty was doing there. I don't think he was still complaining about the previous game like you typically hear on Sports Talk Radio on a Monday or Tuesday. Hoosier Vol says we'll be in Lexington this weekend. Super stoked. Looks like rain is in the forecast. How does that play into Tennessee's favor? How does that affect Tennessee's offense? Well, I mean, it's turf. It's turf. Both teams are better at running the football, and whoever makes the mistakes throwing the ball, maybe the team is taking the L. But that forecast must have changed like within the last couple of hours or last 24 hours, because I saw where it's going to be a really, really nice day, around 74 degrees. But that's how the weather be sometimes. But it's turf, so footing should be okay. Tennessee did pretty well in the rain last year. Didn't have issues with handling the ball like sometimes you see. And that was last year's Vanderbilt game where it rained the whole time. It was good to see old Ben dry up there in the press box during the game last year at Vanderbilt. Happy Ben was okay. That's all we care about. Any word on Haddon? He is banged up. I'll be surprised if we see him this weekend in the same role as we saw him at the beginning of the Alabama game. So he's banged up. We are getting closer and closer to maybe asking some questions about Keenan Pili when he will be available. Maybe that's a question for Monday as we approach November. How crazy is it that we're already seeing bowl projections out there, Ben?
Very crazy. It feels like the season just started.
Do people really want us to become a triple option team? I hope not. I haven't seen people out there wanting us to be a triple option team. Are we talking like going on the center? Because in a lot of ways, there's a lot of teams out here are triple option teams from the shotgun. You have a run pass option. You can hand the ball off after getting the shotgun snap, mesh point to the running back, or you can pull it, or you can throw it. Like there's a lot of offenses that have three different options inside of one play. And that's a triple option, not the same look as what you will see from a Paul Johnson Georgia Tech team, but a lot of the same concepts used from decades of football, but it just looks different because we're in shotgun. You play to your strengths. Your strengths are running the football, but you can't be one-dimensional. You got to throw it. You still got to make sure the safeties are out of the box. You got to take advantage of one-on-one matchups when you get them, and you got to convert on the outside. You got to win. You got to stack the DB. You run and go route. You got to stack the DB. You got to get on top. I don't care how far you are from the sideline. At the end of the day, you still got to be technically sound in your receiver play, and you got to go win matchups. You got to catch the damn ball. I don't care what offense you in. It's the same principles. Let me stop. Mick Swain asked about Kamal Haddon. Kamal Haddon's banged up. So, luckily, we have some good depth there, guys who have been healthy for the most part this season. So, Gabe Julialali has been available for us, even though he had a little bit of a stinger. It's what appeared to be a stinger, but he'll be okay. And then You'll have Danico Slaughter, who is back from that toe where he missed multiple games. So we have depth. Kentucky's receivers are good enough to beat you. They just haven't played well. They haven't been consistent. They haven't caught the ball consistently. But they have the talent, man. Like Key and
Barryon Brown.
I mean,
and their slot guy Robinson.
They're good enough to win, which is why I think people had Kentucky second in the East in preseason. Had Kentucky create some noise in the East.
Well, nobody expected Devin Leary to play as poor as he has played. Everybody thought that he was really, really going to have a strong season because he was tremendous at NC State, and he's just gotten worse since he got to Kentucky, which is weird because they have the receivers. They have Liam Cohen. You talked about Liam Cohen earlier. He's one of the best offensive minds in football, NFL or college. He came from the Rams, did a great job with Sean McVay. And Devin Leary has just gotten worse. I believe it was Rusty made the point that Kentucky's offensive line has not played to the level that many expected them to play this season. So maybe that's contributed to Leary's struggles. But that Georgia game was a prime example of Leary just missing open throws throughout the season and just has not been comfortable whatsoever, has forced it in the double, triple coverage. I believe he leads the SEC in interceptions. At least he did going into last week. And again, that Georgia game kind of highlighted some concerns that he's had all season long and just simply missing open guys. When he's not throwing in the double and triple coverage, he's just missing wide open receivers.
Notorious Nick says, I got to disagree with being on the road woes for Tennessee. Tennessee went to UGA, defending national champions, South Carolina, and it appears they got help from Michigan. The Swamp at night, and Bama. Those were all extenuating circumstances. Well, all those places are known to have hostile environments. Kentucky isn't Vanderbilt, but Kentucky isn't the Swamp. So, like, the place can still be loud. It can still cause you some issues, but it's not as tough of a place to play in, like Georgia, South Carolina, in the Swamp. So until this team plays better on the road this season, outside of Vanderbilt, which we don't play Vanderbilt on the road, then I think it's fair to wonder, can this team put together a full football game on the road? Again, the hurdle is not as high versus Kentucky on the road as it is in some of these other venues. And this whole thing about Michigan stealing signs and potentially helping the opponents of possible future opponents for Michigan.
South Carolina.
I saw where John Bryce, Football Scoop, had said something about that. Guys, we lost 63 to 28.
Them signs weren't helping the defense.
The defense didn't play with fire, energy. The defense gave up 63 points. And on one of those touchdowns, Henry got hurt, fumble, and that was terrible field position for a defense to have to work with, and Carolina scored, but you still gave up over 50 points. You didn't give up 50 points because of some sign stealing. You gave up those points, and you lost in that fashion because you wasn't ready to play. As simple as that. Is the sign stealing scheme look really bad? Yeah, it looks real bad for Michigan. Looks bad. But if you allow your signs to be stolen, that's on you. You're supposed to have multiple signs. You're supposed to change them. You still got to stop the play. Like, how many times is it 4th down and short, 3rd down and short? Everyone knows what plays are going to be ran, and the play is ran, and you still can't stop it. Last year, Tennessee was one of the best teams in the country, best team in the SEC at fourth down conversions. There's only so many things you can do on short yard situations, and Tennessee converted, even when the defense knew what we were doing. This year, we can't. We're not. And people know what we're doing. Now, you got to be a little bit less predictable, but at the end of the day, it's about will and want to and execution. And so that's why you're not going to hear me pounding the table about sign stealing, because I had a front row view of what happened in that South Carolina game. We wasn't ready to play. Simple as that. All right, let's go back to the phones. 865-255-03. Good morning.
Good morning, guys.
What's up, Turkey Man?
Hey, buddy. I have kind of been under a rock. I've been dealing with life, a lot of things going on in my life right now. I haven't kept up too much with what you're talking about on stealing signs. But to me, what little bit I've seen about it, I mean, I don't see the big deal personally. I may be missing the big picture, but I don't see the big deal, especially with the transfer portal. I mean, my gosh, you got players that practices and going to teams different all the way across. I don't see where that would be that big of a.
It's a big deal, Turkey Man, because of like the lengths that Michigan took to try to get signs. I think in the course of a football game, it could be a big deal if you pick up the right sign and you know every time a defense checks to this, you have an answer for it, you have a counter for it. But like, man, that's so hard to nail down. That's really, there's so many signs that are relayed from the sideline to the field. And there's, like when I played Turkey Man, we had quick game, 3-step drop. And for a slant, we had about 4 different signs. For go route, we had about 4 or 5 different signs. And you would have had to watch us every game all season, and probably before that, to have any kind of idea of what we're going to do. If you getting your sign stole, that means you got one sign for a play or route or coverage, and you haven't changed them in forever. At that point, you deserve to get your sign stolen.
Well, that's my thought process, because I coach baseball and I changed signs up because I knew, especially certain things, what would need to be changed, and that I'm having more time with that, I guess. But it bothers me more about the inconsistency of the umpires or officials and how they're doing across the board. It's not just us. It's any game you look at. It's awful. That concerns me more than anything, I guess.
Yeah, I mean,
really.
Go ahead.
I mean, really, it's not that we lost the game because of officials in a way, because we did enough stuff to mess it up for ourselves in a lot of ways. But I'm just saying, at key times, and be consistent. It's like make the strike zone the same for everybody, and then we can play it, not change it. I'm
with you, Turkey Man. Officiating has been a major problem all season long last year. It's been the same problem this year, maybe even worse. Alabama game was the Alabama game. It's amazing how Alabama only had one penalty call, but it wasn't the reason why you lost. You got to play better, and it really goes down to that. We'll get back to the Beatty Chevrolet text box. Ben McKee, Go Vols 247. I am Jason Swain. 865-255-03. We'll go back to the phones when we come back. Stay with us.
What's up, Swain Event family? It's great to be on board. This is Taylor Hawkins with Modern Woodman Fraternal Financial, and I have one question for you. When was the last time you have slowed down and evaluated your financial situation? Just like the Vols, a great game plan leads to victory. Let us help you achieve your financial goals with a custom-made game plan. No matter what stage of life you're in, protecting your family and hard-earned money is important. So let one of our local and trusted financial professionals secure your future by visiting one of our 10 branch offices across Tennessee, or give us a call locally at 865-312-5638. And remember, go Vols.
Registered representative and investment advisor, representative offering securities and advisory services through NWA Financial Services, Inc., a wholly owned subsidiary of Modern Woodmen of America, member of FINCRA, SIPC.
Hey there, Swain Event fam. If you're currently renting and just about priced out of your place, give me a call. Jennifer Morris with Keller Williams Realty at 865-257-7897. You may be able to buy a home and have monthly payments less than your rent. And wouldn't you rather pay your own mortgage than someone else's? Hope to hear from you soon, and go Vols.
Here in Knoxville, we love it when a squirrel's in the checkerboards. But when there's a squirrel in our attic, that's all sides. When that happens, call Alpha Wildlife. They're Knoxville's veteran-owned and operated wildlife removal company. When unwanted critters put their feet up on your coffee table, call 865-224-6555. Let the Tennessee fans at Alpha Wildlife evict those unwanted tenants and set your home up with a winning defense to keep that wildlife where it belongs. That's Alpha Wildlife at 865-224-6555. They have locations in Nashville, Memphis, Chattanooga, and in parts of South Carolina. Check them out online at alphawildlife.com.
We're here with Dr. Michael Carlson of Tennessee Regenerative Sports Medicine to discuss stem cell treatment and PRP. If you have orthopedic injuries, you should give them a call.
That's right, Jason. We specialize in regenerative non-surgical orthopedics. So we treat damaged tendons, ligaments, and joints by using ultrasound-guided injections with stem cells or PRP. And this form of treatment actually stimulates the body's own reparative process and allows for healing of the damaged tissue.
So, Doc, what makes your training different than others?
Well, Jason, I've been practicing in Knoxville for 26 years, and I'm certified in interventional regenerative orthopedic medicine through the American Academy of Orthopedic Medicine. At Tennessee Regenerative Sports Medicine, I'm the one doing the procedure, and we're using your own bone marrow stem cells or PRP. So in other words, it comes from you and it goes back to you. So you know exactly what you're getting and know exactly the level of training involved.
Tennessee Regenerative Sports Medicine, trsportsmedicine.com. East Tennessee's leader in PRP and stem cell therapy.
When you are craving some quality barbecue, there's only one place to go. Dead End Barbecue. Dead End Barbecue has been featured on ESPN's Taste of the Town, the first barbecue restaurant on the SEC Network, CBS Sports, Headline News Tailgate Show, Amazon Prime's The Restaurant Comeback, Food Paradise, and named one of the top 100 barbecue restaurants in America. The search is over. Dead End Barbecue is located on 3621 Sutherland Avenue right here in Knoxville. You can even have it delivered right to your door through Chow Now. Visit their website at deadendbbq.com. Dead End Barbecue. The search is over.
The conversation doesn't stop when the show is over. Follow the Swain Event on Twitter and like the show on Facebook.
Swain Event fueled by Dead End Barbecue, top 100 barbecue restaurant in America. It's getting darker quicker. This is usually the time of the year where depression is an issue, more of an issue. Get out in front. Mind, Body, Wellness. MindBodyKnoxville.com is your website. They got plans for you. They have this game plan for you to help deal with some of those anxiety issues, some of those depression issues. Mental health is just as important, if not more important, than your physical health. So, Mind, Body, Wellness in Knoxville, accessible, affordable, and available for you. Go to the website, mindbodyknoxville.com, to schedule a mental wellness assessment today. Mind, Body, Wellness is mental health care that works for you. All right, let's get to the phones. Back to the phones. Good morning.
Morning, Swain. Morning, Ben.
What's going on, man? Who we talking to this morning?
This is Caleb.
Hey, Caleb. Good to hear from you.
Caleb.
Hey, what's going on? Hey, man. Good. Glad to listen to y'all, man. Thanks for Thanks for what y'all do every week. Man, I just had a couple of questions. First question, and y'all may have covered it. I've been busy at work this last week, but our fourth down conversion rate is pretty low. I'm
bad.
Curious, Swain. I'm curious, man. Why do we do our coaches, have they not installed a package? If it's 4th and 1 or 4th and 2, and you may have already heard this, but why aren't we doing the brotherly shove or the tush push? I mean, Joe Milton is 6'5", 245. Cooper Mays surely could fall forward for a yard. Is that something that they would have to install? Is it so foreign in today's college football for them to go under center? Is that something that they would have to take time to really get down? Because to me, it seems like the quarterback sneak's been around forever. I just don't understand why on 4th and 2, 4th and 1, we're in shotgun. It seems like all the time.
Caleb, that's a valid question. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
1st and 10, you're in shotgun, and it feels like 1st and 14 or 1st and 15. So if we use the same logic when we want to see us under center on 4th and 1 as we did on 1st and 10, that would mean that being a shotgun adds more yards to game. So being a shotgun feels like 4th and 4 or 4th and 5 when it's 4th and 1. But I understand what you're saying. Here's I think the hang up for offensive coordinators and coaches with being a shotgun 95% of the time, 99% of the time, and then in short yard situations going under center. If you remember the Texas A&M game, Max Johnson went under center and tripped. He got tripped by the offensive lineman next to him, the guard, and he fell. That's because they're not used to being under center. Sometimes you have snaps that basically fall to the ground after the center snaps it and the handle by the quarterback is not clean. And that's because you're not used to going under center. I'm not saying that's an excuse. I'm just telling you that's a reason. Now, you asked the question, is that something you need to practice and work on and put a package in? The answer is yeah. If you're going to run under center and if you are a shotgun team, you have to spend more time in practice working on that. You got to have a series of plays under center rather than just the quarterback sneak. Do I think the quarterback sneak is effective? Absolutely. But Joe Milton is 245 pounds, but he don't squat 600 pounds like Jalen Hurts. And that's a big reason why the Eagles' tush push is unstoppable. And speaking of tush push, Josh Heupel just let y'all know how in a bubble he is. He is in his own world, which is Tennessee football, preparing his team, which he should be, recruiting, because everybody knows what tush push is. Everybody who watch sports, watch NFL knows what a tush push. That's the Eagles. That's what they do. But Heupel was in his own world because he had no idea what the tush push was when he was asked about it.
I think he was being sarcastic because he had some jokes when he was walking. He had some kind of joking about it when he was walking out of the press conference room on Monday after those comments.
What was the jokes?
Yeah, he was. I believe he was acting as if the tush push is not the biggest topic in football right now.
Oh, okay. I'm just saying.
I think he was being sarcastic. Maybe I'm wrong, but he did reference it after his press conference on Monday when he was walking out of the room.
I mean, I think that would be a weird decision to make, to be sarcastic about that, knowing that we had multiple 4th down and 1s that we didn't pick up.
I just think he was trying to make light of the situation.
Okay. I mean, I hope so. That's cool, whatever. But the quarterback sneak with a 245-pound quarterback is a valid request, I think, to make if you are a Tennessee fan.
I thought he was being self-deprecating in a way.
Yeah. And that's fine.
I mean,
Heupel said earlier in the week that the coaches and the players have to do better. And so he looked at himself. Obviously, the players have to do better. And that's one thing I appreciate Josh Heupel, is that he doesn't try to blame other people. He doesn't try to skate around the fact that, hey, he's a human and maybe he didn't have his best day. It has been 2 games in a row where he has made these comments. It's time for him to have a dang good day calling it this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like it wouldn't take long to install that, though. I guess it is foreign, it's different and packaged, but I feel like you could probably do that in a couple of days.
I mean, you can install plays,
but
you can install plays.
I mean, I know what you meant. Like, it's a package. I understand it's different personnel. It's different. I got that. I understand, but and listen, man, we're all just seeing it because of the Philly thing, but I mean, just the QB sneak's been around forever. It's just Philly does it better than everybody else. It is what it is. But I feel like as a coach, though, you got to have your hand on the pulse with that kind of thing all the time. And if you see that you have a quarterback, no, Joe, don't squat that. But again, he's 6'5", 245. He's a big dude. Cooper Mays, I feel like, could get a push. I understand it would be different. And I love the point that you made about, Max Johnson did fumble when he did that. I think of that 98 season when Arkansas did the same thing. He's going back to knee, he trips over, whatever. But I appreciate y'all answering that. My second question, and I'll hang up for this one. I've not really seen us put together, and it's not to be negative, but I've not seen us put together 4 full quarters of just dominant football. We've had a lull in every game. I don't know if this is that an in-game adjustment problem? Is it are we expecting it just to get to halftime and then make the adjustment and then not make another adjustment through the rest of the game? I mean, ideally, you're always adjusting and you're always counter-adjusting. Everybody knows football's chess. It's all about anticipation of the next move. It's my father-in-law, for instance, he's talking about how we looked so good in the first half against Bama. Like I said, I'm not harping on it. I'm just saying we looked so good in the first half. We had to know that we had to counter-react. We knew they were going to adjust. And I feel like we failed to anticipate that counter adjustments that they were going to make. Now, you don't know until you see it, obviously, but what can we do to get better in-game adjustments? And is that an issue that you see? And I'll hang up. Appreciate it, guys.
Thank you, Caleb. I think it is fair to put on the table, along with leadership and mental toughness need to improve. You have halftime adjustments, and then you have in-game adjustments from drive to drive that you have to be really, really good at. You got to have more dogs and more killers. You got to have a killer mentality to put your foot on the neck of a team, no matter if you're up. Doesn't matter if they are inferior to you. There's a mentality you got to have, and you look at leadership. You can look at adjustments by the coaches. I mean, I think all of it you put on the table. I can't point my finger at one thing that it is. I can't. I'm not in the locker room. I don't go to meetings with these guys. I'm not on the practice field with these guys. So I can't sit here and point the finger at one thing of what is it? What has caused this team not to play a full game? But I will say I think all of those things I mentioned should be considered. You're a leader on this team. You got to start pulling your unit together and address your unit. Address your position. It don't have to always be the coaches talking to you. You can talk to yourself and challenge each other. And if you're the quarterback or a leader on the offense, you can pull the entire offense together. You can pull the entire defense together. I mean, I think that would be good to see. But I think it's mentality. I think maybe it's adjustments. Alabama came out and scored pretty easy in the second half. They didn't score that easy moving forward from X's and O's standpoint, but Bama made an adjustment at halftime, and hey, I feel like made an adjustment to stop that from happening again. I don't want to harp on the Bama game. I'm trying to use it as an example, to use it as reference. But there's sometimes plays are made because you don't see a play that you didn't make in the game. You you didn't see that play on practice on the game film, from that opponent. So you were unable to practice it. And so sometimes they just out scheme you on one play. It happens. But you can't let it continue to beat you over and over and over. So it takes time to get down the snap under center. It's not just about putting a series of plays in a package. It's about repetitions. It's about muscle memory, and it takes time to nail down the under center snap.
Then practice it.
Well,
that's my thought process.
You didn't have to last year, and you was picking up fourth downs, and so
1,000%. I mean, there are several different factors that are playing into why Tennessee has not executed in short yardage situations on third down and especially fourth down. Your personnel is not as good as it was last year.
Correct.
The current personnel is not executing, and I realize that those fourth and short situations, you don't really need to be super creative, but I also don't think that you need to be super simplistic either. I mean, Nick Saban pointed out what Tennessee likes to do in those situations in his post-game press conference, how they like to bunch up and hand the ball off. So I would think that would mean that you maybe needed to be a little more creative than what you have been doing. The book is maybe out on you in those particular situations, so maybe switch it up at least a little bit.
Maybe
so there are certainly several factors, but like I don't. Me personally, Swain, I may be dead wrong, but like I don't want to hear the excuse that teams don't go under center as much as they used to, and that's why you can't go under center. Practice it. You practice multiple days a week. You can set a little bit of time aside to practice it. And at the end of the day, it's not like you're trying to figure out geometry or something.
I don't look at it as an excuse. I think it's the reason why teams are not going under center, because you can pick up first downs in shotgun. And no one was trying to change our snap location of the quarterback last year when we were picking up the fourth downs. But now we want to do it because you're not picking up those fourth downs, which I get. Like, if it ain't working, you want to change something up. Doing the same thing over and over and expecting the same results is the definition of insanity.
Especially when you have different personnel.
Yeah, but like the reason why teams, and as you say, Tennessee, still go shotgun and fourth down is because you can pick it up. Like there is value in being in shotgun and the snap getting to the quarterback, so the defense sees the ball, snap. The quarterback has the ball. The defense sees the ball go into the belly of the running back, and then the quarterback is reading the defense and being able to give it or take it, regardless of it's fourth down and 1 or first down and 10. That is something that you just can't achieve under center because it all happens so quickly. It's bang, bang. But we've seen on fourth downs in shotgun, running a zone read and picking it up with ease because the read is still the same read on fourth down as it is on first down. But if Heupel feels like we need to go under center more, then we're not talking like, all right, let's work on this snap for 5 minutes. It's something like you really got to nail down, and you got to do it as a team on your goal line and short yardage periods. It takes longer than just a couple of minutes, and but it's worth doing. It's like it's worth fixing and executing because it certainly has stopped some drives for us. But I thought the call itself was not something I agree with. I don't care about the shotgun. I would have liked to seen Joe have a run pass option because he was running so well in that game. The shotgun doesn't bother me. It was the actual play call itself is what I disagreed with. All right, let's go to the phones. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. How are y'all doing?
Good, man.
Hey, I live here in Cleveland, Tennessee.
Okay.
And we had a great game this past weekend. With Boo Carter was there, Gorey for Bradley Central. I'm a Cleveland guy, but looking forward to seeing those guys play in orange on Saturdays. But I was listening to your conversation about the fourth down, short yardage. I agree, going under center. But if you recall last year, we ran 2 or 3 times a play that was unsuccessful, and it was out of shotgun, a flat pass to Jacob Warren.
Mm-hmm.
And we kept running that. Do you remember that, Swain?
I do remember us running those plays, those quick fakes to the running back and getting the tight end out quick in the flats. I do remember some of those. So, I mean,
he's kind of shown, he being Heupel, has shown kind of that in the past, and I agree 100% going under center. But, I'm not the coach, and I just want to say, and I'm not trying to be toxic positivity right here, but it's like, dude, to come from where we have to now under Heupel, I'll take some of these blunders every now and then, even though it hurts to lose. You know what I mean?
Yeah, when you compare it to where we were, I'll take it. But I think at some point, like, you have to expect more and want more. And, like, going into, year 3, year 4, like, that's a fair expectation. It's a fair ask, I think. I think in year 1, year 2, like, all right, Heupel's just taking over. Blunders are going to happen. But I think as we move further away from the Pruitt era, I think it's okay to – expect more and expect better execution and better calls. Yeah, I think it's totally okay. Like we don't have to be drinking Heupel's bathwater to support him.
No.
And think he's good. And we don't have to make comments like leave him in Tuscaloosa. Or, oh man, this is why Central Florida didn't want him. Like
right.
Coaches sometimes make mistakes. Sometimes coaches make the bad calls. Sometimes they get out coached. We got the right guy. Like, he will have to continue to evolve. He's going to have to be better and play call selection on 4th down. Like, it's okay, folks. Like, we don't have to have some scorching hot take one way or the other is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Hey, Swain, am I still here?
Yeah,
no?
Yeah, you're still here.
I wanted to say, too, a lot of fans, it's like, I wish and reporters too, I wish they get off Joe Milton, because if you went back and look at Hooker would hold the ball too. I think that's the offense thing. Hold the ball and let the receivers break open and hold it as long as you can and protect it. And Joe's doing some of those same things, but I'd like to say also, I think this is, and I hate to say it because it sounds like you're settling for not winning every game, but I think this is more like a stopgap year, because if you look at what we got coming down the road, Nico's the real deal, and some of these younger receivers are the real deal. And you look at like Cam Seldon, Khalifa Keith, and then some of the backs we may get coming back. I think it's a stopgap year. You don't want to decline too much, but I look forward to every week and every game, but that overall, I look at the season like that. What do you think?
Yeah, man. I appreciate the phone call. I do think there's some concerns about next year. I do think there's some things to be really, really optimistic and excited about. Transfer portal is going to be important for us. Our young receivers. And man, we wouldn't have, I think, the issues that we have right now, receivers, if the young receivers were, ready to go. But they have the off season and the summer to improve and be better next year. Listen, Hendon was special. Okay, Hendon had better anticipation than Joe. I thought Hendon processed things a little bit better and faster than Joe. I do think Hendon had better receivers to throw to, the guys that created separation. But I can't I can't compare Joe to Hendon as a quarterback, because Hendon was on a different level than 95% of all quarterbacks last year in college football. So, there's a lot of times when Joe is inaccurate, and it ain't all his fault. But there's times when it is, his fault. And he has throw anticipation better, and Hooker was definitely better in that area. Nelson from Jackson says, for Nico's sake, I pray he lives up to the hype or plays up to the hype. If not, this fan base will rip him and Heupel to shreds. That's the thing I was talking to someone about other day, is you don't think that the backup quarterback sees how the current quarterback is being scrutinized? Like, Jared Garantano saw how Dobbs was handled. Nico was sitting here watching how Joe was being handled. Not saying that criticism hasn't been warranted in a lot of ways, but the out-of-bounds stuff, like, backup quarterback sees that and knows, like, hey, they're going to do it to him. They definitely going to do it to me if I don't come in and play like Hendon Hooker my freshman year. So that's something that worries me and concerns me next year when Nico does play. He's a true freshman or redshirt freshman. When he makes mistakes, or if he's not the best quarterback in the country day one, how is he going to handle that? I don't see a lot of top-tier quarterbacks playing a start in year one. Arch ain't starting. He didn't start. Their time will come, and when it comes, they'll be good to go. Bryce Young didn't start as a true freshman, but when he did start, he was ready. So that's what you hope happens with Nico. All right, Ben, did we miss anything today? Anything you want to add? Baseball, basketball related?
Nope. Everything is all good. Everything's going in the right direction.
Tennessee basketball scrimmage against Michigan State. Baseball is continuing to work. They had a scrimmage. They'll continue to put themselves in position. They got some transfers. Everyone is – listen, all you got to do is just follow Ben McKee, okay? Follow Ben McKee. Get on Go Vols 247. That's all you need to do. I had a former teammate of mine – sorry, Ben, but I had to give him my 247 account so he can follow your work. He's like, hey, man, let me get your account, man, because I just want to follow Ben's work. So that's good news.
We appreciate the eyes
news.
And extra clicks.
Yeah, it's good news and bad news. I shared my account, but still, they following your work, man. So one of my teammates.
I won't turn you in.
All right, thanks. Probably turn myself in. Swain Event, fueled by Daddy and Barbecue. Folks, Hiller's half off month. Half off HVAC tune-ups. $99 drain cleaning special. More details are found online at happyhiller.com. Happy you'll be, or the service is free. That is the guarantee you get from Hiller. Also, if you're looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, that is Jennifer Morris with Keller Williams Realty. We've got to get Ben McKee back to Knoxville. Family's growing. It's time for a bigger crib. It's time for him to be closer to Knoxville. So Jennifer Morris is working to get Ben McKee, his family, a new home. It will be the second home for the McKee family that Jennifer Morris has helped them with, and they can help. She can help you. Again, if you're looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate. For Ben McKee, Jason Swain, hope y'all have a great rest of your Thursday and weekend. We'll be back Tuesday to talk about hopefully a big orange win over Kentucky. Peace and much love. We are out.